The sun is a hammer. It beats the red earth into a fine dust that coats every living thing. A constant, gritty reminder of thirst. This is the reality of prehistoric life. A season of walking hunger where the ribs of the land show through its thin hide of grass. The clan moves like a single, slow beast, its parts connected by need. The old ones, their skin like cracked riverbeds, set the pace. The hunters, lean and sharp-eyed, turn out, their spears little more than wishful thinking against the vast, empty canvas of the savannah. The gatherers, mostly women and older children, scan the ground. Their world shrunk to the few feet of cracked soil before them. Every root, every grub, is a victory against the slow tightening in their bellies. This community of early humans is a testament to the harsh arithmetic of survival. Alara is one of them. Her knuckles are raw from digging. Her eyes ache from the glare. The shared hunger of the clan is a physical presence. A low hum of discomfort that vibrates through them all. It is the only truth. They are one body, one mouth. When a hunter returns with a small lizard, the clan gathers, and the small prize is divided into impossibly smaller portions. There is no thought of more. There is only this. This is the unwritten law that has governed hominid history for 100,000 years. What is found is shared. What is endured together. But today, something is different. A flicker of motion at the edge of her vision. Not the usual dusty scuttling of a beetle, but the iridescent blue of a sunbird. It flits towards a line of rocky crags the clan always avoids, a place of bad footing on sharp shadows, a fool's path. Yet, the bird goes, on an impulse that feels less like thought and more like a current pulling her from the shore. She follows, she breaks from the group, a silent, almost imperceptible deviation. The clan's collective focus is on the flatlands. On the knoll, no one sees her slip away. The climb is treacherous. The rocks are hard to the touch, and thorny vines tear at her legs. But the bird leads her on. A tiny, vibrant guide into this forgotten space. And then she sees it. Tucked into a narrow cleft, protected from the sun and the wind, is a small, impossible grove. It's a pocket of life. A secret the savannah has kept to itself. Berry bushes, not the sparse, bitter kind they usually find, but heavy with dark, plump fruit. So many, enough to feed the clan for days. Her first breath is a gasp of pure, unthinking relief. She reaches out a trembling hand, plucks a berry, and puts it in her mouth. The burst of sweetness is so intense, so overwhelming, it feels like a memory of a different world. For a moment, the instinct is absolute. "Hey, cool." She opens her mouth to shout, to let the cry of discovery echo back to her kin. It is the only response she has ever known, but the sound dies in her throat. A new shape is forming in the landscape of her mind, an act of cognitive fluidity that is both brilliant and terrifying. She sees the berries. She sees the hunger of the clan. And then, she sees the hollow cheeks of her younger brother. The way her mother gives him her own meager share. She sees the coming weeks. The sun getting hotter. The ground getting harder. This bounty, shared, would be a brief respite, gone in a day, but kept. It could be a shield, her shield. Her family is shield. The thought is a stone dropped into a still pool. The ripples spread, and the world is no longer simple. She, an individual, is separating from the whole. She looks back over her shoulder. There is no one. The decision is made not with a crash, but with a chilling, silent exhale. This is hers. She returns to the clan as the sky bleeds from orange to purple. Her gathering basket is nearly empty, holding only a few withered roots. The expected toll of a fruitless day. It is her first lie, a deception not of the mouth, but of the hands. No one questions it. Failure is the norm. A full basket would be the anomaly. But as she sits by the fire, the phantom sweetness of the berries still on her tongue, the shared misery of the clan feels different. It is no longer her own. She is an observer behind an invisible wall, watching a play of hardship that she has secretly rewritten for herself. The gnawing emptiness in the bellies of her kin is a sound she hears, but no longer feels. Later, in the deep shadow of an acacia, she finds her mother and younger brother, with a gesture for silence. She presses a small, tightly wrapped leaf bundle into her mother's hand. The woman's eyes widen as she uncurls the leaf to find a cluster of dark, perfect berries. There is no question, only a sharp, indrawn breath of disbelief. She gives one to the boy, whose own eyes, usually dull with fatigue, spark with a light Ilara has not seen in months. This is the logic of kin selection, an instinct as old as blood itself, now acting as a corrosive agent on the larger body of the clan. Seeing her brother chew, a thin trickle of purple juice staining his chin, feels like a victory so profound it almost silences the guilt. Almost. But secrets have a scent, a shadow that falls even in the brightest sun. The boy's energy returns. Her mother's stoop is less pronounced. It is subtle, but in a community where every nuance of health and mood is a shared data point for survival, it does not go unnoticed. Kale, an old hunter whose leg was shattered by a boar years ago, sees it. He misses nothing. His gaze, once a comforting part of the clan's fabric, now feels like a probe. He watches Elira. He notes the faint stains on her fingers she cannot fully scrub away. The way she no longer meets his eye. The easy flow of gestures and shared glances that define their social cohesion grows hesitant, cluttered with a new, unspoken static. The clan does not have a word for what they feel, for the suspicion that is curdling their trust. Anthropology of a future age would give it a name, but for them, it is a sickness in the air. When Elara moves, other gatherers subtly shift away. When she speaks, the silence that follows is a fraction too long. Her secret isolates her, but it also sharpens her. Her mind, once part of a collective current, now works in frantic, solitary eddies. She learns to map the clan's movements, to anticipate their paths, to create justifications for the faint scratches on her arms from the thorns that guard her grove. She is honing a new tool, one made not of flint, but of cunning. It is a lonely and exhausting form of primitive technology. She makes a hard choice every dawn to maintain the lies to feed her family, but to confess is to risk a wrath she cannot imagine, for a crime that has never before been committed. The weight of this new, individual world rests entirely on her shoulders. The breaking point arrives not as a roar, but as a whimper. It is the sound of a child's fevered breath in the cold air before dawn. The boy, son of another gatherer, has been wasting away for days. A venomous bite, small and barely noticed at first, has turned his leg into a swollen, purple desing. His body is consuming itself in a desperate fight, and there is no fuel for the fire. The clan shaman offers chants and cool mud, but everyone knows the truth. The body needs strength, and strength comes from food. They have none. The child's mother sits beside him, a statue of grief, her own hunger a distant, unimportant take. Elara watches from the edge of the firelight. In her hide pouch, secreted away, is a mash of berries she prepared for her own brother. It is a concentration of life, of energy, enough, perhaps, to tip the scales for the dying child. To give it would be to confess everything. Her secret would be laid bare, her transgression exposed to the raw judgment of her kin. Her family's private shield would be broken. She feels the eyes of Kale on her, the old hunter who has been her shadow. He does not glare, he simply watches. His gaze a silent question that has been hanging in the air for weeks. This is the fulcrum of her new existence, a choice that will define the person she is becoming. The child lets out a soft moan, a sound that cuts through the quiet hum of the camp. It is the sound that finally breaks her. In that moment, the fear of exile, of punishment, is outweighed by the certainty of a small death that she has the power to prevent. This is the ancient, tangled root of reciprocal altruism, a gamble on the future of the group. She stands, walks to the child's mother, and kneels. She does not speak. She simply opens the pouch and, with her finger, places a small amount of the dark, sweet paste on the boy's dry lips. A collective gasp ripples through the clan. All eyes are on her. The child's mother looks from the pouch to Alora's face, her expression a storm of confusion, hope, and dawning suspicion. Kale rises slowly, his good leg taking the strain. He walks to Ilara, looks down at the impossible bounty in her hands, and then, without a word, turns and looks at the rocky crags to the east. His eyes, for the first time, hold not suspicion, but a kind of weary understanding. The secret is out. He does not need to force it from her. She raises her head and meets his gaze, and with a single, sharp nod, she leads them. The clan follows her, a silent procession through the growing light. They move with a strange mix of dread and anticipation. The journey to the hidden grove is a pilgrimage into a new territory of the mind. When she parts the thorny curtain and reveals the impossible bounty, they halt at the edge. They stare at the bushes, heady with life, and then they stare at her. There is no roar of anger. There is only a profound, unsettling silence as they engage in a form of symbolic thought for which they have no precedent. They are seeing not just berries, but the physical manifestation of a secret, of an individual will powerful enough to bend the clan's reality. This single event marks a tectonic shift in the long, slow story of human evolution. They now possess a new, dangerous survival skill, the private thought. For these ancient humans, prehistory is not something that happens to them. It is something they are beginning to shape, one terrifying choice at a time. They gather the fruit, and as the sick child is fed back at the camp, the clan eats in a new kind of silence. It is not the silence of unity, but the quiet, unnerving hum of 30 separate minds, each contemplating the birth of I. The clan did not shatter. It bent. The wound Ilara inflicted on their collective soul did not fester, but scarred over, forming a new, more complex tissue, the concept of the secret. Once an unimaginable horror, became a tool. A hunter might now track an animal for a day without signal, trusting his own instinct. A toolmaker might experiment with a new edge in private, perfecting it before sharing. Her act of selfishness, redeemed by an act of altruism, had given them a blueprint for the individual. They learned that a single mind, working in the shadows of its own design, could forge a path the group was to slow, to consensus driven to find. The evidence of this revolution would never be found by the tools of future archaeology. It was a change carved not in stone, but in the neural pathways of our ancestors. Their world, and by extension ours, was forever complicated. The pure, simple we was gone, and in its place was the eternal, unresolvable tension between the person and the tribe, the private desire and the public good. It is a tension that lives in us now, in every promise we keep and every secret we guard. This has been the chronicler. The past is never silent. It simply waits for us to learn its language. And the first secret was only the beginning.